folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got a good one for you today. Today we're hearing from Tyler Paine. Tyler reached out to me basically on his way out to go turkey hunting and was like, hey, I have a crazy story. He sent me a video of a wild hog on a leash, of him trying to call in coyotes, and how he got a hold of those hogs is absolutely crazy. So I'm not going to steal any of his story here, but I want to thank Tyler very much for coming on the podcast. And as for you listeners, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, as always. And of course, if you could, please share the podcast so we can get more folks like Tyler out that have some crazy stories to share. So that's it, guys. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. And now let's let Tyler tell you his stories. All right, Tyler. Welcome to the Hunting Stories podcast, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing real well. I'm excited to talk to you today. You had, without a doubt, few people reach out to me, but you have the most unique reach out to me, and that was basically you sent me a picture of a pig that you manhandled and put on a leash. You sent me a video of that, so I'm excited to talk to you, man. I'm excited to hear some of these stories you have for us today. But beyond letting everyone know that you're a sort of a pig whisperer, let's let them know who Tyler is, and maybe let you introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Oklahoma, northwestern Oklahoma to be kind of particular, and growing up hunting since I could hold a side-by-side 410, and pretty much just do that. I play a lot of golf too. That's kind of random, but yeah. So
that's awesome, man. You've been hunted your entire life? Did your dad get you into it, or was it
yeah, my dad did. He pretty much taught himself. He didn't really have a mentor or anything. So it's pretty much just second generation type deal in my family. And
that's awesome, man.
It's going good. He's a pretty big trapper. So that's what he focuses on right now.
That's super cool. Yeah. You think about first generation hunters nowadays, they have so many resources, but like a guy of your dad's generation, how do you even figure that stuff out? I would have had no idea without the internet and all the stuff out there these days.
Exactly.
So, good on him, man. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I know that we're holding you back from hitting the road to go turkey hunting with your 10-year-old. So we're just going to kick things off. We're not going to waste any time today, Tyler.
Yeah.
So you said you had a couple stories in mind. Why don't you set the stage, brother?
All right. So started off this plot of land that my family has. It's 160 acres, quarter section, and my dad and his younger brother kind of grew up around there, but for some reason we never hunted it until about 2016. We got access. The cattle lease ran out or whatever, but started managing it pretty heavy then. And I didn't really kill anything on that property until 2019. I had gotten off work. I had noticed on like HuntWise or one of the apps that I had the perfect wind for one of my favorite stands. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff go down at this stand. I've seen my first wood ducks fly into a little mud hole at this stand, and just saw a fat little raccoon just lounged up against a tree, fiddling with his hands. Just funny, weird stuff happens at this stand. So I had the perfect wind, and I knew I was like, I'm just going to go out there and sit and hang out. And it's a scrape line stand is what it is. So you can see about 3 or 4 big scrapes and licking branches that these bucks visit on their way by. And I saw one coming in, pretty good 8-point. I forgot to mention actually that I'd been sitting there for a while before any of this even goes on. And I know a lot of guys,
like 2 hours, 6 hours.
Yeah, probably like 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
And so it's getting pretty close to being dark actually by now. And I break the golden rule, man. I turn around and I pee off the stand. I'd had to go. I didn't have any pee bottle in my bag or anything for some reason. And I know a lot of guys are going to be like, oh man, you peed off, like peeing off the deer stand. That's not what you want to do. But peed off the stand, sat there for about another 30 minutes. And then back to where we were, this buck, he's coming down this scrape trail. And I ended up
How long after you peed till this buck showed up, or was it like
30
pecker in
minutes.
hand? Okay.
No, 30 minutes. I had plenty of time to like sit back down and get readjusted and whatever, but
Gotcha.
and so I was confident in the peeing off the stand because of the wind situation. I was like, nothing ever comes from behind us here. There's no way that I'm going to get busted, so I'm just going to do it. And so yeah, he's making his way down the trail. It seems like forever, and put one in him. I mean, it's a good shot. I'm confident with it, and I sit back down in the stand, and he runs off. And like I said, it's pretty dark by now. He runs off through a briar. Can't really see where he goes after that. After about 70 yards, he disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of standing up, collecting myself, and I look out to this wheat field that I can oversee from this stand, and I just see this outline kind of running around out there, this silhouette. Can't tell if it's got any antlers on it or not. And don't think much about it. Just think it's a doe running around or doing something. And so call my buddy after I kind of look around for 5 or 10 minutes and not having any luck. And he comes out and we walk this field for probably 2 hours. We took off from my stand. We headed north and just walked all this timberline that I'm pretty sure that I heard him running through. Well, it's freezing cold. It's November 10th, 2019, and freezing cold.
Mm-hmm.
So we're ready to pack it in for the night. And I'm bummed. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go pick up this trail at night or in the morning. And in the morning, we wake up and it had rained and
Oh
frozen.
no.
So all my blood trail was gone. There was just no chance then, I thought. So he comes back out and we walk the same direction that we walked at night for some reason. And couldn't find him. I'm just ready to give up and go home, and he's like, well, let's walk the fence line all the way to the south of the property. And reluctantly I went and we did it. And as I was bummed out and kind of being a dick and whatever, just it was petty, but I was like, all right, whatever, screw it. And so we're walking and top this hill on this little opening of a rye field that we got out there, and I see this brown patch covered in white and just frost. I'm like, no freaking way. This is where that deer was running around in the field last night that I saw before I got down. And so we get a little closer, and sure enough, there's the antlers show up, and there he is. We walked right on him, and it was like, man, if I had just put two and two together,
Yeah.
I would have been able to solve this mystery a lot sooner. But no, all the meat was good. He was free. He was frozen all night, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Put him
everything
in the
worked
cooler.
out.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and
So if let's say you thought he ran at 12 o'clock, where is this field, as the clock goes relative to the 12 o'clock where you thought he ran off?
yeah, so I thought so if I'm looking straight ahead of me, I thought he ran to my left and he actually ran way to my right.
Really? So like once he hit
Yeah.
that patch of like briars or whatever, he took a hard right when you thought he went left.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's
And
exactly
basically you
right.
turned back around into the field.
Yeah.
That's
And so
crazy, man.
yeah, man, and that was the wildest thing. And then so the following year, I'm actually living out there at this time. There's a little hunting cabin that we have out there that I got to live in for a while. And so now I'm really knowing this place. I got all the bucks on lock. I know every one of them. And we got a feeder stand that I don't necessarily mind sitting at, but I like sitting at because it's just got a lot of activity coming by.
Yeah.
A lot of does and young deer coming there. But sitting there, and there's this young, smaller framed 8-point. There's a lot of 8-points on this place, man. I don't it's crazy. And so smaller 8-point just pilling around down there by me at this feeder, and a real pretty solid heavy duty guy comes over the hill here, another 8, and he immediately is just beelining for this younger buck. And that younger buck sees him and turns around and he heads right to him also. And, I'd always seen little sparring and playing around and just fiddling with the younger bucks. But these two, when they turned and started off towards each other, I was like, oh, this is going to be a show. And they hit and locked up and pushed each other around and into the dirt and twisted each other's necks for, I don't know, a good 10 minutes or so. And I got some pretty good footage of it. And it was the first ever real knockdown drag out that I've got to see.
That's
And
so cool. That's still on my bucket list. I've never seen two bucks, two bulls. I've never seen them spar like that. That
man,
is so cool.
And everyone talks about having buck fever at full draw or something, having to hold it for a long time. But I had the biggest buck fever of my life just watching that.
Yeah.
My adrenaline was rolling. I thought they were going to hear my heart beating. and so yeah, so I just happened to see that go down, and then so I hunt all the rest of that week, kind of staying away from my stand. And on November 10th, again, 2020, I got the same win. And I'm like, I'm going.
Time to go take a pee. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. This time I had a couple of beers before I went out there. So I was like, man, I really am going to end up having to pee off the stand here again, and sure enough, peed off the stand. 30 minutes later, down the same trail, here comes this, what I think is a 200 class monster. And so I start looking at him and I'm shaking, and realistically, he's only about 155, 10 point. So he's big.
Good deer.
He's big, but
maybe you had a couple more than 2 beers. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Because when I saw him, I was like, oh, holy shit, this is Big Daddy right here. But so no, he's working his way down the scrape line so slow, it feels like. He's just taking his time. And this year I'm set up a little bit better with filming and gear, and I've got my camera on my bow, and so he makes his way down.
Let me ask you real quick. In 19, was that bow or rifle?
Bow. Both of them are bow.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it.
The same bow. And so yeah, so he's just piddle farting around at these scrapes, and same situation. It's getting dark, and he makes his way in and around. I make a lot of noise getting my bow off of the hanger, and I'm nervous about that because he was behind a big cedar tree out in the middle of this opening whenever I was grabbing my equipment, and he just didn't show back up for a long time. I was like, dang, man, he must have heard something. But so anyway, he shows back up and walks around this tree to the same scrape and same licking branch that this other buck was licking on the year prior. And I'm at full draw for maybe half a minute or so, 30 seconds. And he's just quartered away real hard. And he's not going to turn broadside before I have to let down. And so I went ahead and flung one and stuck him good, way better than I thought that I'd stuck the one last year. So he runs off, and I really make sure I watch. He runs into the same briar patch that this other one ran right into. This is the deer highway on this place. So it's right? Yeah, all the same exact story basically. But call my old man, say, hey, I need you to come help me look for this deer. Exact same story as last year. And so he shows up. But luckily this time we walk right to him within 10 minutes.
Did you walk over to where that other one died and he was in the same spot?
No, he had just fallen down into those briars, and man, it took every bit of what me and my old man had to pull this sucker out of this storm patch. It was
awesome.
It was pretty good. And then so in the same place, I'd shot this deer the previous year, and all my fishing buddies were like, oh man, I gotta get me a bow, and I gotta get into this. And one of my good buddies actually followed through with it, and he practiced all year and got to be a pretty good dead eye with his bow. And so on November 19th of 2020, I took him out to sit at that feeder stand, and yeah, he ended up shooting one of those 8 points that was fighting that day.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So
Did you have him pee off of his stand?
no, we didn't. That man, that's the thing. The wind at that stand will get you busted all the time.
Gotcha.
It's a doozy, but yeah.
That's pretty
So
funny, man. That's pretty funny. So that was 2019 and 2020. Have you just like duplicated this recipe for success over the last 2 years, or
n- no, I haven't. I've actually been focused on a lot of other different ventures.
mhm.
I've been pig hunting a lot, and I've
Yeah,
been fishing. I've been fishing mainly more than anything. Me and my group of buddies, we we've been bass fishing pretty hard.
gotcha.
So,
Good, man. Good
but
for you.
yeah, like I said lately, I've been chasing these pigs around. We got a place here in Western Oklahoma that is just packed full of them, and my main goal is to shoot one with my bow.
Yeah.
Um, I just haven't got the chance. I shot one with the 300 blackout last weekend, and he's actually going to be roasted probably tomorrow.
That's awesome.
So I'm
I'm going
looking
on
forward to
a
that.
pig hunt in 2 weeks. I cannot wait.
Man,
Going up
and
like near the
it
Austin
is
area.
wild.
So I'm bringing
It
my
is wild.
bow and I'm bringing my 270 because I don't want to miss an opportunity if it's there. So I'll hopefully put one down with my bow, and we'll see, I guess.
Man, I like hearing that about the 270. It seems like you don't hear people shooting that gun anymore because all these new calibers that have come out. But
Yeah,
still,
man, it's the
it's
only
a
one I've ever
long.
got. Yeah, only one I've ever hunted with. It's been great. I've killed a couple of different things with it, including a turkey of all freaking things, right?
Oh shit, that's
So, but
crazy.
it's a good rifle. I do need to take it. I haven't told this story on the podcast, but I went odd hunting, and I took my nephew with me because he's interested in hunting. He'd never been on a hunt before, and so we're kind of rolling in West Texas on these cliffs and these rolling hills, and I got my bow because that's what I want to hunt with. And I'm like, all right, to make him feel like he's doing a little bit more, I'll let him hold my rifle. So I take the magazine out. There's no ammo. So he's got, he's 13. He's a littler guy, but he's got this rifle on his back. And basically, within 5 minutes, he falls backwards on my rifle. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
why did I give him that? And so I'm
mm,
like, all right, well, you can't do much about it after the fact. So I'm like, all right, man, you got to stay on your feet. You got to be careful. You can't drop this thing. This is like, that you can't break it. And so 5 minutes later, he falls again. And I'm like, all right, that's it. Like,
oh
so
no.
so I need to go to the range and see if that thing's still in working order. I didn't hunt with it the rest of the trip. I was just like, I'm just gonna put this away. I'm not gonna risk injuring something because
Yeah,
the sight's off or something like that. So
yeah, yeah. But
needless to say, we didn't see any critters. We did see one pig. So where we were hunting, Texas, were mostly blinds. We did a couple days walking around these hills, but I was in a blind with my nephew, my buddies in another blind about a mile away. But he can see a blind. It's probably 2 miles from him, but it's like a quarter of a mile from us. And he's like, if I see anything there, I'll call you or I'll text you, and you run down and try and get over to this other blind and get these hogs. So we're sitting there, and it's you know 5 minutes till the sun goes down, and I get the text. There's a hog at the other feeder. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So we get out of our blind, and we just start huffing it down this dirt road, and we get down there, and I'm like, okay, buddy. Like, I know this is a little scary, but I need you to stay right here. I'm not gonna leave you. Just like let me go around this corner and try and see if I can get this pig. So I'm crawling or sneaking in, trying to do my thing, trying to get in there with my bow. And next thing I know, the hog looks up and then runs off. And I'm like, oh, man. And I turn around, and I had gone about 100 yards. And I turn around, and like my nephew's 5 feet behind me, like just
oh
standing
man.
there. Like he was too scared to stand there by himself as the sun was going down. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, buddy. Well, hopefully he learned some lessons, but he didn't make the hunting any easier for me. Either way, I can't wait to take him out again. So
Yeah, yeah, man, it's fun getting them kids out there. Once they get that first feel of buck fever or whatever you want to call it, that adrenaline dump, they're like hooked forever.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely, man. But let's hear your pig stories, man. I know. I mean, you got me hook, line, and sinker with your little piglet on a leash. So why don't we tell the people
um,
what's going on?
yeah. So, like I said, that's what I've been focusing on pretty hard lately, and I've been trying to trap these pigs, man. They're freaking smart. They
I hear they're
they
smart
are,
as dogs, man.
yeah, they're definitely trap shy. They know what that thing is, and so it's a challenge. And I ended up having this bait pile. Well, we had a trap set and we had moved it, and I just kept baiting this pile because on this property that we're hunting there's a road that we drive into, and it comes to a T, and I can look left down into a tree line into an opening where this trap was and this bait pile is. And so that's what I do. I always roll in there and just roll the window down and see if there's pigs on this pile. And I got my girlfriend and her friend with me on this particular afternoon, and we're going in there to check these bait piles. And sure enough, roll in there, and there's three big sows standing around. And I should have immediately shot where I was parked, but I was like, man, I can't really see them good. I need to adjust a little bit. And I pull forward, looking, I can't find them. I back up again, can't find them. I'm like, God, what, shit. So I put it in park, and I just get out and I sneak about another 25 yards closer to them. And I sit down and I shoot. Sow screams and she runs off. I ended up never even finding any blood. I don't know if she just screamed from the shot or
Yeah.
what, but so I walk in there, and all these piglets are just so confused at what had happened. They were just running around in circles everywhere, like literally 20 of them, up like from like days old, like 3 or 4 or 5 days old piglets to like 30, 40 pounders,
Uh-huh.
just running everywhere. And so I shoot the biggest one. It's about 35 pounder. And and my girlfriend's got the truck pulled up by then. And so these piglets are still just running around in circles, and I run over to one and reach down and grab him, and he starts squealing, and I thought, man, if I just hold this piglet here for a minute and it's squealing, maybe Mama Sow will come back. And that obviously never happened, but another little piglet happened to run right by me, reached down and grabbed her, threw her in the truck. And yeah, I had him in the back of the pickup for a while. I was like, man, what am I gonna do with these? And I had to call my dad, and he was like, well, do you want to manage the pig population, or you want to let them go and be breeding again in 6 months? It's like, I had to do it and put them
Yeah.
down. But first, I decided that I was going to put one of them on one of my coyote drags and walk it down to my other bait pile and sit there for a minute and let it squeal and see if I could call in any coyotes or any pigs with it. And it ended up getting dark and couldn't do that. But yeah, that little sucker, when I put it on that leash, it took off running, and it
Yeah.
was hauling ass. It was hilarious, actually. But so yeah, that's what I got going on now. I'm going out there. This is where we're going turkey hunting as well. So I'll be hopefully knocking a few more of them down this evening after we
Nice.
get
Very nice, man.
these turkeys roosted.
That's awesome. I was kind
So
of hoping that you were gonna like keep the pig and train it to like retrieve ducks or something, because I hear their
yeah,
noses are just as good, if not better, than dogs. So that would have been my
I could
perfect
have
ending to the story.
trained it to what are those deals that they sniff out that are
Like
under the
truffles.
ground? Truffles, yeah, truffle
Yeah.
pig. But yeah, in Oklahoma you actually have to have a license to transport live feral swine.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I there's no way that I could have drove with them anyway legally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
that
know
makes
we've
enough
all
sense.
done.
You don't really want to spread those things. They're, spreading
Yeah,
themselves plenty. So
yeah.
that's pretty crazy, man. I've never heard of anyone just like grabbing a handful of pigs and walking out of a hunt.
I'd never, I never thought that it would happen either. It was wild.
What'd your
And the
girlfriend say,
decision.
man?
Oh, dude, she was petting him. She wanted to take it home as a pet. Also, she was like, "This thing is so cute," and it's like winking around in the bed of the truck. And they loved it, but like I said, I had to call my dad and like talk myself into it and be like,
Yeah.
it sucks, but it's part of it. But one of them's getting cooked tomorrow, so I'm
There you
excited to
go.
try it.
Did you have like a small caliber pistol or something to put them down, or how
I
did
a
you?
22, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I have a
Yeah, I figured
22.
that.
I didn't want to shoot him with that 300 blackout.
Yeah.
No.
No, nothing left. Nothing left.
Yeah,
All right, Tyler, man. What else? You got any other stories for us? Otherwise, I know that, like I said, I'm keeping you from plenty of other hunting and making more stories. So, if you got any you
yeah,
want to share or any fishing stories, maybe something like a buddy being an idiot. Those are my personal favorite. And if not, we're all good, man.
man. I'm pretty dry. Maybe we'll catch up and do a round two sometime here soon, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, brother. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thanks again, man, for jumping on, especially midday on a Friday here.
Not a
Let me know
problem.
how you're. Hopefully, you get a hog with your bow soon, and
Yep,
I'll let you know how my hog hunt goes because that's coming up here
sounds
shortly.
good.
But I don't know if you want to tell the people your Instagram or you just want to kind of walk off into the sunset. It's up to you, brother.
Yeah, you can check us out at my fishing crew. We're all cast no breaks on Instagram and TikTok. And then my page is just Tyler M. Paine on Instagram,
Perfect.
and post a lot of outdoor stuff and catch me
All
there.
right, man.
So
Awesome,
right
man. Well, I'll
on.
make sure to put links to all that stuff in the show notes. And other than that, good luck today, man. I hope
Sweet.
you have some luck, and I hope your little one has more luck than you do.
Me too, man. I hope he kills one tomorrow. I can't wait.
Absolutely, brother. All right. Well, thanks again.
No problem. We'll see you.
All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. It was short and it was sweet, but I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be thinking about Tyler catching those hogs for a long time. In fact, I'm about to go on a hog hunt, and pretty sure I'm not going to have the same opportunity that he had. Either way, I want to thank Tyler very much for coming on the podcast. It's always fun to hear from listeners. I think those are some of my favorite stories. And then beyond that, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, please go ahead and follow Tyler and his little crew of fishermen. Go ahead and share the podcast. We want to grow this thing. The only way we grow it is word of mouth. So that's it, guys. Thank you again. I do appreciate all of you. Now get out there and make some stories of your own. Thank you.